We're extending another session on the power of being one in order to introduce our educational series. I have quoted earlier anti-apartheid activist Steve Biko, who said, "The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed." Now, I quote political activist Emma Goldman, who said, "The most violent element in society is ignorance." So how do we solve that ignorance so that we don't become the weapon of our oppressors? And how do we mobilize the power of the mind? That is what we will be covering in this educational series. Not only is education a great armamentarium against violence, in that the pen is mightier than the sword, it is a great force that can bring people together like few other things in the world. Indeed, there could be no greater violence than oppression from the highest levels, and no greater defense than knowledge of our power as one. We thus see that the deterioration of our collective consciousness in recent times is connected not just to a lack of meditation, as we have been discussing, but a lack of education. Our mind is one of our most powerful tools, not merely for collecting and transmitting knowledge, but for expanding perspective, empowering ourselves, and unifying. Especially in times of oppression, education becomes more than instruction. It becomes resistance. If meditation cultivates the emotional and existential stability to be effective in whatever we do, education develops our ability to think critically, to understand our circumstances, and to imagine alternative solutions. These help transform previously passive, discouraged, and exhausted subjects into active participants, as has been shown in history. Our nation is replete with examples. The American Revolution offers an early illustration. Colonial resistance did not emerge spontaneously from grievance alone. It was inspired through pamphlets, newspapers, sermons, and public debate. Widespread literacy allowed Enlightenment ideals to spread, educating the population about natural rights, self-government, and the social contract. Political philosopher and revolutionary Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense for ordinary readers rather than elites, and helped translate abstract political theory into a shared civic understanding. Formal and informal education allowed disparate colonies to see themselves as a people with common interests and a legitimate claim to self-rule. Education throughout history has inspired people's movements to challenge entrenched power. Labor movements taught workers not only technical skills, but political consciousness, how wages, laws, and institutions shape their lives. Women's suffrage campaigns organized reading groups, lectures, and civic education programs to counter deeply ingrained beliefs about gender and authority. In each case, education functioned as a unifying force, helping individuals to recognize that personal struggles were not isolated failures, but collective conditions they were capable of changing. A great example is the civil rights movement in the United States. Education was both the target of oppression and a vehicle of liberation. Segregated and unequal schools reinforced racial hierarchy, while freedom schools, churches, and community organizations became sites of empowerment. Activists learned about constitutional law, the power of nonviolence, and historical perspectives that had been denied to them. By understanding the legal and moral contradictions of segregation, ordinary citizens gained the confidence to confront courts, legislatures, social norms, and public opinion. Education transformed hopelessness into capability, fear into resolve, and fragmentation into solidarity. The United States became an inspiration, in fact, for using education as an emancipatory force, Across the globe, literacy and political education became foundations of anti-colonial movements and self-determination. From South Africa to India to Latin America, education helped people reclaim suppressed histories, to articulate democratic aspirations, and to resist narratives imposed by authoritarian regimes. In many contexts, the simple act of learning to read became a declaration of dignity and autonomy. I myself can say the same, having grown up in the inner city of the Bronx. I went to schools that had bullet holes in the windows and gangs recruiting out front. I often say there's a paper-thin difference between myself and the violent offenders I treat, who are behind bars in maximum security prisons. What made the difference? Education. Crucially, education does more than empower individuals. It unifies societies. By fostering a shared language, civic norms, and a mutual understanding, education makes pluralistic democracy possible. This is how civil rights activist Mary McLeod Bethune came to say, education is a great American equalizer. Education equips citizens to disagree without dehumanizing one another and to pursue justice through collective action rather than coercion. In times of oppression, when truth is distorted, fear is weaponized, and division is encouraged, education offers clarity, connection, and hope. So my colleagues and I at Preventing Violence Now have therefore decided to bring our previously university-bound world-class courses to the public. Some of you have attended a sample course last month to a great response, and that is just the beginning. We wish to emphasize that knowledge belongs to the people, and having experienced how it elevates perspective, empowers agency, and unifies people around common values, we desire above all to share this experience with you. We have all dedicated our careers to education, which we believe is one of the principal forces for bringing about and building a more democratic, just, and equitable world. Some of you have met my co-founders of Preventing Violence Now, which include Dr. James Gilligan and Dr. James Freddos. So you will have received the series we are offering for this spring in your newsletters, which will occur on Saturdays from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can sign up for a month at a time at $100 or $400 for the whole series, which would be a semester's course. And again, we're trying to make it affordable. It's about 1/10 of what is charged at our universities. And limited scholarships are available. So you can apply by writing a one-paragraph summary of how this scholarship will help you and what you expect to get out of the course by responding to any of the newsletters. So the next course series we're offering is How to Prevent Political Violence. This series will prepare the citizen student to be able to probe deeply into political violence so that we can learn to truly prevent it, to identify the various dynamics that are underlying political violence so that we can deeply understand it, to analyze the connections between behavioral, structural, and political violence so that we can bring it all together, and to design sample interventions from individual, community, and societal perspectives so that we can intervene at all different levels. There's always something we can do. So the course topics start in February with the individual context of political violence, which will focus on how to understand and prevent political violence from a biological, psychological, and symbolic or spiritual perspective, understanding causes at all these levels, and bringing about a scholarly, proactive, and public health approach to preventing political violence. It has been shown to be vastly effective all around the globe, and we will try applying this approach to political violence. In March, the second course will be on the social context of political violence. We will cover the sociological, anthropological, and politico-economic causes of political violence. We will discuss identity, belonging, and the pursuit of power and recognition, as well as cultural contributions to political violence, terrorism, civil wars, revolutions, coups, riots, state repression, insurgency, and genocide. In April, the third course will be about structural and existential violence. We will discuss how the deadliest form of violence is poverty, that is, relative poverty, and how environmental damage can be considered a form of political violence. We will speak about one world or none, or the dangers of nuclear violence, as well as the psychology of collective suicidality versus collective renewal. And lastly, in May, the fourth course will cover solutions. That means profound solutions that can truly prevent political violence, how to create a more peaceful political culture in society. We will discuss tertiary to secondary to primary prevention, as well as population-level interventions with the greatest effectiveness and least costs in prevention. There will be about an hour's worth of optional reading material assigned before each class to get the maximum out of each session. So registration information will come to you by newsletter. So if you aren't subscribed already, please be sure to subscribe to the free newsletters and you'll get all this information.